Okay, guys, I think we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to have Joel mute everybody. So if you have a question, you can unmute yourself individually or just raise your hand in the chat room and we'll get to your question. But we just want to thank everyone for joining tonight. We're very excited. This is March Memphis for us instead of March Madness. So we've got a few things going to be happening this month with Memphis. And we're very happy to have Ellis Mathis and Nick Lamonaco to run through some of the new stuff they have coming our way and to brush up on some of the stuff we've already seen before. So without further ado, Nick Lamonaco.
What's up, everybody? Thank you all for being there. Everyone hearing me okay?
Good.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I since this is booked, my daughter decided to make the high school softball team, so I'm in my car at a softball game uh for right now. But thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate Davis stepping up and setting this up for you guys because we got a lot of new stuff. We got a lot of existing stuff, and not everyone can make all the shows. So thank you all for being here. I do want to say, because he is on the call, if you guys didn't know, we surprised everyone. This is our 60th year in business. So Memphis is 60 years old. 60 years ago, we started as Arthur Fulmer Radios. Then, you know, Arthur's Arthur Fulmer the second, his son Arthur Fulmer the third, our current owner. We changed the name from Arthur Fulmer Radios to Fultron to Aria for like not even a year, and then Memphis Car Audio in 1998. So we're 60 years in business, same family. And as you know, Ellis and I have been here, or you may not know, Ellis and I have been here, part of this company for 15 years. So we're very excited to celebrate 60 years. We got a lot of cool stuff to show you guys. And for our 60th, for the year 2024, we kind of did a secret, didn't tell anyone because we wanted to be really objective. We wanted it to, so with our dealers that buy both direct and through Davis, we wanted to find the best dealers in the country, and this is based on what they buy, how wide they buy, how they support the brand. And so while you guys are all on the call, I want to start off by just saying that Custom Audio Concepts and Mark Wallace, they got Dealer of the Year for us. So he's on the call right now. So he they are the epitome of a Memphis dealer in Lima, Ohio. So I just want to call Mark out because he's on the call. Say congrats again, Mark, while you're on this call. Great job on that. So everyone silently clap for Mark because he's awesome.
We can snap.
Yes, yes, now everyone else is awesome as well, but Mark really showed it in the last few years, especially in 24. So thank you. Um, so we'll get into the program or into the presentation now. Ellis is gonna go through everything with you, but I'm really excited. If you haven't seen some of the videos we've made, if you haven't seen some of the stuff from Knowledge Fest, we showed some of the new product. It's really awesome. We got a ton of awesome stuff coming down the line, as well as just reminding you guys some stuff that you may have forgot about and maybe not know that we make some really badass products in those categories. So without further ado, let me get Ellis on there to start going through and talking to you guys.
Yeah, so I will second what Nick said. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I know some of you worked very hard today. Hopefully a lot of you guys did. It's end of the day for all of us, so we'll try to keep this kind of light. We'll touch on some. We're going to run through a couple things. We're going to touch on some marine products. We're almost to that season. We've heard from dealers. We're starting to get some boats dropped off. Guys getting those out of storage. Um, we're going to talk about some of our kind of key products from 2024, things we had some success with. We know a lot of you guys had success with. And then the most exciting part, we're going to talk about the new products for 2025. So I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. I'll get lost in that at some point. So I guess, Nick, if you can answer chat questions, I don't know if you have the ability to do that or not. But I'll try to keep an eye on that and see what's going on. So I guess from there, we'll get the screen share going, see if we can get this thing started. Let's
I can
see.
monitor the chat, Ellis. So I'll chime in or answer.
Perfect. All right. Can everyone see the shared screen? We're good to go? All right. So like Nick
Yes.
said, we are 60 years in here, 65 to 25. In car audio, obviously, we're automotive aftermarket for 106 years at this point, so we're not new to this game. So we'll jump right in and get started with some of the marine products for this year. We're going to start with the source units. So the SMC3, that's kind of our flagship piece at this point in time. It is a multi-zone. If you haven't used this piece before, multiple RCA out. So we have front, rear, sub, as well as zone 2. 3-inch color touchscreen. Does have, built-in 4x50 power, IP66 design. One of the key features of this that a lot of other brands aren't doing is we do have a video input. So whether that's some form of video watching, or if backup camera is probably the biggest use for that. We offer a backup camera as well. So this radio is AM, FM, Bluetooth, weather band. It's everything you could want in the marine radio. We do have an optional wired remote you can add to that. And this piece is going to retail for around $349. So very solid marine head unit, good looking screen, picture quality is great. And with the backup camera being an extra feature, we think that's a great deal for pretty much anyone, whether it's going in a boat, side-by-side, golf cart, whatever the situation is. This is a great head unit to kind of be the key piece of any audio upgraded system. We're going to move from the radio into the amplifiers. If you haven't seen these, it's a very clean, very sleek-looking amplifier. You can notice the nice LED strip across the front. You're on a Memphis call, so there will be plenty of talk about LEDs tonight. We never want to leave that out of the chat. With these amplifiers, they are going to be IPX5 rated. The power lugs are removable, which makes the installation much easier. I know I've installed a few of these, just not having to screw the wires directly to the amp does make that install a little bit better. We do have the sealed speaker connector plugs. Another thing that you'll probably notice with these amplifiers over what we've done in the past is we kind of moved away from the 1 and 5 channel amplifiers and moved into 2 and 6 channel amps. That gives us the flexibility on the 2 channel amp to be able to run the subwoofers in the marine line, or also to power a set of the new ATAC tower speakers. Kind of the same plan with the 6 channel. We have the base 4 channels to run the in boat or in cab type speakers, and then channels 5 and 6 can be bridged to run a subwoofer, or those also work great running a pair of the tower speakers.
And just so you guys know, those sealed connectors, they might also line up perfectly with the company that was just bought by Garmin.
There's a good chance that you could direct plug these amplifiers in to the exact same place. So we'll talk about a few different speakers. The first thing we want to talk about is the wakeboard tower speakers. If you haven't seen or heard these in person, they sound great. They look great. This was probably a 2-year development process for us, even down to the point of having the black redone 3 or 4 times just to make sure the color looks right. It's not hazy. It doesn't look swirly. One thing I'll point out just on the front side of this, they do come with the brackets that are in the picture. So there's no additional charge. We've done, great UV testing on these. The lights, the speaker's covered in lights from the cone to the tweeters. We have a ring around the front. The back lights up. It's a nice glass fiber cone. And when we design this, the mid woofer, whether it's an 8 or a 10, it's designed for that enclosure. So a benefit of that is, especially with the 10, is the amount of mid bass you get out of the towers. If you have a customer that's not 100% a subwoofer customer, they're just kind of on the fence if they need a sub or not, the 10-inch towers might actually give them the mid bass that they need without having to add the extra subwoofer to the system. Not to mention all the benefits you get with the line array versus just the original horn. Obviously, we had the horn. I'm sure some of you guys have sold Memphis for a while. We have had some great improvements in sound quality as well as sound dispersion with these. We'll get a little bit more into that on the next slide. So we did testing with our original horn-loaded towers as well as some of our competition. And what we found is at lengths of 5, 10, and 20 meters, we're actually louder than our original horn-loaded towers at the same distance. Besides that, we get a lot flatter response. It's not super peaky like the horn sound. So you can actually stand right by these tower speakers, have a conversation and listen to music, or you can really dial up the volume and get the full dispersion of sound that you want. So that's kind of where less decay comes in. the sound these speakers put out doesn't seem to fade away quite as quickly as it did with the horn. So you're getting the same volume at a distance, but with a better sound quality. Also, we note here the wider listening area, and that really comes from the ATAC. That line array you're going to see at concerts, any kind of outdoor venues. It allows better sound dispersion. So we're not just directionally shooting that high-end frequency straight back behind the boat, it's a width behind. So whether you're surfing behind the boat, skiing behind the boat, hanging out on a sandbar, an island, that sound's going to be way, way wider, a lot more coverage than you got with the horn. Plus, is you can angle those 360, the grills rotate if you have to mount the speakers off axis, or if you want a different spread of sound, you really can align that array to a position that it gives you the best coverage out behind the boat. We could probably spend 20 minutes talking about this just by itself, but
yeah, just chiming in there, Ellis, like you mentioned the wide dispersion. So if you are surfing, obviously you're surfing to the left or the right of the boat. So you're going to be able to hear our towers better than anyone else by a long shot because of that width dispersion. So you'll actually be able to hear the highs on the towers if you're surfing on either side of the boat, which is going to be night and day above everyone else.
So I think so here's your pricing. So we're $11.99 MAP on the 8. We are $13.99 on the 10. We do offer covers for those for both the 8 and the 10. And we also offer some surface mount brackets for some difficult applications or some pontoon applications. Those pieces are sold separately, but like we mentioned before, the standard bracket does come in the box with the towers. So we talked a lot about the towers, but I feel like just a picture speaks 1,000 words sometimes. These look great in the install. I don't think there's anybody that's going to look back and see that image from the back of their boat and be disappointed in the way their tower speakers look or sound. So the in-cabin, in-boat marine speakers, the MXA 60, 69, and 80L. So we offer that in 6.5, 6x9, and 8. If you weren't aware, when you open the box, they do come with the white and the gunmetal grills. Those are also going to come with the white or black mesh. So from what you see here, that's 3 different looks you can make with or 4 different looks you can make with the one speaker with parts that are included in the box. Outside of that, obviously we put RGBs in these speakers. The tweeter is really bright, really cuts through over the motor noise on the boats. It is an aluminum tweeter that has kind of like a really thin membrane over, so it's protecting the aluminum of the tweeter, but doesn't really cut the sound down. So real bright, real clear speaker, and injected polycones and rubber surrounds. That's just going to help it stand up and last as long as possible in the environments you're going to be seeing in the marine and extreme environments. So 6.5 to 219, that's a very solid speaker in that price range. This is one that I think stacks up very well against really any and all of the competition. Next thing in the lines could be the marine subwoofers, which we offer in in a 10 and a 12. These are going to be RGB backlit. This is some new technology for us, which allows us to light up the cone as well as the center cap of the sub. These are going to come with the gunmetal grills, but we do have black and white grills available separately. UV coated polypropylene, gold terminals, all the things you want on a sub to make it look good and function well. This sub also features our Flex technology, which allows you to switch between 2 and 4 ohms seamlessly. There's no in-between ohm loads, no 4.1, 2.3. These are going to be dead on 2 or 4 ohm load on the marine subwoofers. All right, so we're going to touch on now a couple of products from 2024. Some of those were released later in the year, some mid-year. Just want to make sure you guys are up to speed on that stuff. So we kind of included a lot of the newer, but also really successful products for us that sold well. Dealers seem to have sold well, and the consumer feedback's just been good on these products. So the first thing we'll get into is the MOJO Pro subwoofers. I feel like a lot of you guys have probably sold these by now. When we got into this line of subwoofers, it was a lot about competing with those online brands. That was a big thing we wanted to be able to do. We got feedback from a lot of dealers that you'd have kids walking in asking for something they saw online, and we wanted to make a speaker that was competitive with those, both in price and performance, but also put a good name brand on it, put the Memphis name on the speaker. And so that's where we came up with the MOJO Pro subwoofers. Currently, the MOJO Pro is available in 8, 10, 12, and 15. This is definitely an old school kind of ground pounding sub, 750 watts RMS. One cool thing I'll point out with the 8-inch is it's using the same motor magnet as the bigger subs. So when you get into the 8-inch, which is pictured here, it really has kind of a basketball kind of look to it. It's a big, beefy looking sub at a little bit lower price point than the mini MOJO subs are. Now, these are more traditional, everything about the sub. So big foam surround, stitched in paper cone. It's got kind of an old school vibe to it. And that's kind of what we want to keep with the sub. So we are offering these in a dual 2 or dual 4 configuration. This is not one of the Flex subwoofers. The next thing to talk about in the MOJO Pro line is going to be with the amplifiers. We have a pretty good array there of available amps. On the mono side, we have 750, 1000, 1500, and 3K. So those line up very well with these subs. One sub on a 750, you can do a pair on a 1500, or you could do 4 on a 3K. For the people who are interested in that, these amps are strappable. We did have someone run a test on the 3Ks with 2 of the 3Ks strapped together. We were somewhere in the ballpark of 6,700 watts. So lots of power out of these amps. And I think if you look at these, they look a lot different than the rest of the Memphis product, and that was definitely intentional here. Extruded aluminum heat sinks, that bright strip down the middle. That's kind of another way that we're trying to take advantage of some of those online shoppers. This amp looks more like what they're seeing online with some of the entry-level bargain basement, whatever the company is. It has that look with a good name brand. These really make the power. They have the warranty. So if you haven't already tried these amps, this is a great amp for us, and kind of took us by storm to the point that it actually made us kind of redo the PRX amplifiers and make those better, just with how successful and how well these amps have sold to the consumers. All right, the next line we're going to talk about is the SRX Pro speakers. So this would be, I guess you'd say entry level, but this is definitely not an entry level speaker. It's a step below the MOJO Pro. These are backlit. You can see in the pictures with the RGBs, the cones light up, the tweeter lights up. The picture in the lower right-hand side shows those cones and tweeters without the lights. So if you have a customer, for whatever reason, that doesn't want the 3 to 6 dB gain and output from having the LEDs hooked up, they can go with the standard just black and gray installation option. These are available in 6, 8, and 10. We also have the tweeter by itself. The piece that's kind of worked good for me in the area that I cover has been that SRX P62 component. That does allow some consumers who are interested in getting into that pro audio game to do it without having to worry about bi-amping or a lot of crossovers or EQs. They can do a basic installation with an included crossover and get that full pro audio sound without having to have every one of the extra components that's required to really build one of those large pro audio systems. The next piece of the SRX Pro line is the WT. So obviously these have the horn tweeter built in, the RGB as well. When the RGB is not lit up, it's the exact same as the other speakers with the gray in the center of the cone. These are going to be 175 watts RMS, 1.5-inch voice coil. So this is going to be a very loud drop-in replacement speaker. If you haven't tried these, I would say especially in the 6x9. If you have customers shopping for a 3, 4, 5-way 6x9 and they haven't heard a pro audio style 6x9 with the horn tweeter, this might be what they're looking for. So really bright, really clear, and we made some improvements over this speaker from the beginning, so the sound quality is actually improved too. So it's loud, but also has a good sound to it. All right, new category for this. We'll talk a bit about some of the options we have for Harley Davidsons. This new V2 kit that we have really has everything you could need for the 2014 through 2023 Harley bikes. It's compatible with all the CVOs. This was a vast improvement over our previous Harley wiring kit options. There's virtually no need to cut any wires on the bike for this. We did keep with the magic box that we use that allows you to be able to do these installations without having to flash the bikes. The amp mounting plates we'll get into on this screen. So these are going to allow mounting up the 400.4 or the 800.4. We do have the standard mounting plate as well as the road guide plate. The magic boxes that were included in the previous kit are still included here. The biggest benefit is on the original kit, you would have had to cut those wires, resolder, and make new connections. With the new kit, if you're working on a bike that's already been flashed and they just want to upgrade and add some good Memphis Audio product to it, now you can simply unplug the magic boxes and you'll be good to go moving forward. We have all the direct plugs to plug into the Harley connections, as well as the Y cables to add bags. So if we're adding the 6x9s and the cut-in kits, you can add that now also with a direct plug and play with no extra crazy wiring to have to do. Everything's included. The plugs featured here is number 5. That's going to be on your CVO bikes in the bag, depending on which audio system came installed from the factory. You can literally unplug the factory plugs from the amplifier, plug these harnesses in, and they give you a direct loop from the front to the back on the bike. So that makes your wiring in general just a lot easier than what it was. You can see here we have pictures of the power harnessing. And the last thing is the RGB cables. If you're doing the speakers, why not do all the lights? So we included everything you could possibly need for a nice, easy plug-and-play solution for all your Harley customers that are coming in. And one other thing on the Harley bikes, if you haven't already seen these are the MX HD14 lid kits. So we know there's a lot of these things available. I've done these installations with this kit. It's very straightforward, very easy. If I can do it, guarantee you guys in the shop every day can pull this off. And I guess a couple features we'd point out here would probably be first and foremost, we have the RGBs. That comes included, built in. The 6x9 woofer is going to kind of seal into that bag. It doesn't have any kind of a tweeter built into it, so we're getting a good mid-bass sound out of the 6x9, as well as the dual tweeter. So with the original systems you may have seen in the past with other manufacturers with the single tweeter, it's just a firing up. With this option, we have sound that fires up for a passenger on the bike, as well as tweeters on either side. They're going to fire forward for the driver or rider of the bike. And these are going to fit on the same bikes, the 2014 through 2023 bikes. This makes for a nice, clean install. Keep everything all in one kit, and these are going to sell retail for around $5.99. All right, so we touched on a couple of marine things, a couple of Harley things. We talked about some products from last year. So we'll start kind of getting into some of the newer products. We did launch this last year. I don't know if you guys have tried these or not. We did a lot of vetting of this product on the front side. We did have some dealers do some test fitting for a few months to make sure these all fit in the vehicles that we said they would fit in. If you had bought in the past from us, some of the PRX, the Toyota speakers, those were great, but we did get a lot of dealer comments. Well, what if I want to do an M series or step up and do a VIV series or some of the Pro audio speakers? And really it didn't make sense for us to build or to ask all of you guys to stock all those various lines of speakers. So with these new brackets, they do fit all of our speakers. Even the MOJO Pro, the 6.5, 6x9s fit in these. And it's a really vast list of vehicles they fit in for one part. So for $19.95 retail, you can do the 6.5 or 6x9 adapters in just multiple vehicles. This is a quick glance. You don't have to memorize all these at one shot, but it does show that the 6x9 adapters work for the Chevrolet, Ford, the Toyotas that we had before, as well as most of the popular Dodge vehicles. I don't personally know how we crossed over into the Subaru, but yes, they do indeed fit these 2015 to some current Subaru models. And the 6.5s where it really shines. I mean, these cover so many of the popular vehicles. I think if you can have one bracket that fits for Chevy truck, Ford truck, Dodge truck, that's big by itself. But when you start mixing in some of the other Toyota and Nissan features, that's just a ton of vehicles with one bracket that you're able to sell to the customer for $20 and will probably help you cut down on a lot of the extra pieces and parts you're having to stock. All right, moving into some speakers. We're going to talk about the M series speakers for a minute. We did a kind of a big relaunch of these speakers last year. Really changed a lot of the options and ways that you can use them. We wanted to make it as user-friendly as possible for you guys as far as trying to build the system for your customer. So you can basically take these MS speakers, you can use them as a coax. You can add the MSC kit and turn those into a component with just the 6.5 and tweeter. You could use the 6.5 separately and add the MS25 to it. Or you can do the three-way option with either 5x7, 6x9, or 6.5. We'll get a little bit more into that, but these are very versatile, and it allows you to only stock a few SKUs, but be able to build multiple systems from that. I think I probably already covered most of this here. Got a little bit ahead of myself on the slide. So if you've been to one of the in-person trainings, whether it's a Knowledge Fest or at SEMA or anywhere else, you've probably seen us do this demo where we try to give a gauge of the difference in sound between going with the standard M-Class tweeter and the MS-25. If you're not familiar, the MS-25 is the little speaker right here in the middle, and it definitely offers a completely different sound profile than what you're getting with the tweeter. So we put together a few slides to try to show you here visually what we would show you in person in a situation where we could all listen and hear the difference in all the speakers. So what is with the MS-25? Where does it fit? What vehicles does it fit in? Well, it fits in a ton of vehicles. I know these are probably two of the most popular options. So you get the speaker. It is the 2.5-inch nice carbon fiber cone, rubber surround. It's a great sounding speaker at a great price point. You can kind of see here with the included bracket, it gives you some options for mounting. So just by taking this speaker, the included brackets, you can break off the tabs you don't need, and shows how this speaker can fit in multiple vehicles. So when you're using for two-way options, you can take the 6.5s, which are available as the coax, you can take apart and take the tweeter out using the MSC kit you can see here in the bottom right. Or we also have just mid-voice only options. So you can have a 6.5 or a 6x9 mid only, and then add whatever you want to that kit to make it work. If the customer wants to go with the tweeter, that's fine. If they prefer to go with the MS-25, that also works and is fine. And like I said, we'll be showing you some of the differences as we get through this of how those sounds work. On the three-way kits, you can do the same thing we talked about with two-way. You can take your MS-57, you can convert, pull the tweeter out, use that. You got your MS-25. That's also available with the 6x9 option and with a 6.5 option. So if you're just buying the coax, you can take and add the MS-25s, and then you have the option of doing either a coax, a two-way component, or a three-way component. So I know we've talked about this a good bit over the last 6 to 9 months, but for the people who have embraced it and really got into buying and selling this way, it's a great way to offer a ton of SKUs without having to really stock a ton of product. Give you kind of a side-by-side comparison what you get between these two speakers. If you're using it in a two-way situation where you're having to pick between using the tweeter or the MS-25, you can see here the center frequency in these slides is somewhere around 2K. So with the MS-25, you're getting a lot more full range sound. You're not having the roll off you get with the tweeter. Another thing that I would probably tell you on this, when you're selling to your customers, a lot of female customers are more in depth or more in tune to the high frequencies. So if you play these side by side, you might get someone who actually prefers the sound of the MS-25 without the tweeter. It's not quite as bright, but it does cover almost the entire frequency range that the tweeter does. Plus, if you're doing in-dash replacements in a lot of those popular vehicles, the Bluetooth from phone calls is also going to play through these speakers. So that MS-25 gives you the ability, with it playing down to around 350 hertz, to get that full vocal range and be able to hear the phone call, not do an install with tweeters and then come back and have to change that at some point later on because the phone calls don't sound any good or whatever the other complaint might be. So a couple other comparisons to show, and we'll move on from the MS line of speakers. So this is what the curve looks like now with just the 6.5 and tweeter. These are centered at around 1K. So you can see there's a dip in the middle. That's a natural roll off. That's not just our speakers. That happens with any one speakers. The 6.5 rolls off, the tweeter rolls off the other way. You're going to have a dip in the middle. You can obviously fix that with EQ, DSP, any of those pieces. But there is another option where you can use the same 6.5 for the MS-25 and really fill that gap, fill that range. So we didn't do anything with the DSP to correct this. This is natural playing. So like I said, we could correct slide 1. We could do some things to make slide 2 a little bit flatter and smoother, but we didn't do that here because we wanted to show you what those speakers actually look like, just natural performance. The last image is the MS-6.5 with the tweeter from the previous. We also added in the MS-25. This is probably the flattest all the way across with no correction. You will notice over on the far right side, we don't have quite as much of a drop off for the tweeter. So there's a boost. There's a benefit to doing the MS-25 and the tweeter if you want to be flat, full range out of the box. Hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of visual clarity as to what we would normally like to demo you in an audio setting, but I don't think the computer speakers would really do you guys the justice of hearing that live and in person. So that kind of completes the recap section. Now we're going to move into some new products for this year, some exciting stuff, probably some stuff you guys haven't seen before. So let's get into that. The first piece is going to be the new VIV 12-inch woofer. You may have sold the VIV 14-inch woofer in the past. That was great for us, 7.5-inch voice coil, giant sub. The problem was it didn't fit into a lot of traditional boxes, which required you to buy the loaded enclosure or to build your own enclosure for the subwoofer. So now we're offering the VIV 12-inch sub that's going to fit into all those standard enclosures, and it's got some really good features. This is kind of the sub that's going to jump into place of the M7. So if you were an M7 dealer before and you liked that sub because it was loud, boomy, but also had good sound quality, this is basically going to take that, expand on it, and make it even better. So this is going to have your flex technology. It's 1,000 watts RMS, which is an improvement from the 750 with the M7. 3.3-inch voice coil. It does have the DVB-C venting, front plate, 162-ounce magnet. So this is going to be a big, beefy sub. So it's going to give you the low-end reproduction that you want, but it's also a great sounding sub. Very flat, plays nice and smooth, and at a $399 retail, this is a great sub in that price range. And for being a Memphis dealer and Memphis customers, this is going to be a big step up from the M7 sub. So obviously we got the Atlanta wrap on here, celebrating how flat and how clean the sound is. You'll notice it does have a little bit of a peak around 45 hertz where you'll want it. There's no crazy roll off. There's no crazy spikes. The sub's going to play nice, smooth, and clean across all the frequencies that you want to hit with your 12-inch subwoofer. Next thing new for us is the MOJO Pro dual 12-inch enclosures. Out of the gate, these things have sold well. We've taken a ton of orders on these things just out of the gate. If you're selling the MOJO Pro subs, you know how good they sound, how boomy those subs are. So now you have an option where you don't have to build the box. We designed the perfect box for you. We didn't cut any corners here. This is the optimal box for those subs. So with this, you're getting dual 12, 1 ohm load, 1,500 watts RMS and a prefab enclosure. You can notice we did move the ports to the front. We're doing a lot of that this year. Big, wide open ports allows for some more open tuning than we had. So with this box, we're actually able to tune it lower, get a boomier sound. So that's really what this MOJO Pro customer is going for, is that. You also notice on top, we do have the stitched in Memphis logos, black carpet, nice vinyl front on the box. And like I mentioned before with the port, this is tuned to 36 hertz. That's definitely low for a manufacturer prefab enclosure, but we wanted these subs to really shine on what they're made for, which is playing that low boomy bass. It's not a giant box. You can kind of tell in the image the way the sub fits in there. There's only enough room on the top and bottom and sides of this for the subs to fit and have the correct airspace. So tons of bass for your customer, $699 retail. I would recommend taking this enclosure, adding one of the MOJO Pro amplifiers to it. The 1500 is a perfect match. And that's a banging system for your customer just out of the box without you having to do any extra custom work to get it done. So going a different direction, we have the SRX party packs. Everybody sells a lot of these things. Depending upon the time of the year, the business goes up and down, but it's kind of a constant with the entry-level bass packages. So we made some great improvements to these this year. We would start with the subwoofers. We relaunched new SRX subwoofers last year. We upgraded the power handling from 250 to 300 watts. So the new boxes are going to have 212s, 600 watts of RMS power handling, and they're also going to be upgraded from the 500 watt amplifier to the 600 watt amplifier. Not only that, now it has LEDs. So any of you Memphis fans know, you have the potential for a 3 to 6 dB increase because of #science. LEDs make the stuff loud. Outside of the improved subwoofers, the improved amplifier, the extra dB from the RGBs, you'll also notice it's a much more appealing cosmetic look. The port complete change. It allows for a lot more output at high volume than we had previously. So bigger square port as opposed to the slimmer side port that we had before. So realistically, this package is louder than the previous SRX base package. It's going to sound a little bit better, hold the power better. Everything about this is better. Even the price stayed at $399, so no increase on price for better power handling subs, more power on the amp, and the RGBs. So this is a big improvement for the consumer while keeping the same price. The next one, which a lot of my dealers that I personally call on, we're more excited about, is the new SRX single 12 enclosure. Same thing, much improved subwoofer over previously, better cosmetics, does have the RGBs on the front. We moved to the triangle port on the front. We needed that to be able to give us the port area that we needed, but be able to get the length and make the turn in the box, just to keep everything correct, keep the tuning frequencies in check. This box was kind of a combination of two pieces. So in the past, if you bought an SRX 12 SP from us, that would have been the sealed 12-inch self-amplified enclosure, or we had the SRX, the E112VP, which was going to be your single 12 with a separate amplifier. So in the new one, the amplifier is built in. Besides the fact that you're going to have a better sounding box that's louder, a couple other features of this are going to be, you'll notice here, removable power lug. It does have the 4-pin input plug, whether you're going speaker wire in or RCA in. So customer can unplug those two plugs, remove this from the vehicle completely, plug the two plugs back in, you're ready to go. This does come with a bass knob. It also has all the normal function you'd want with the SRX amplifier. You'll notice on the bottom right-hand corner, the 4-pin RGB plug. So, because of the fact that this box has the amplifier built in, you no longer have to do any extra wiring for the RGBs. The silver button here in the middle, you can press that, select whichever color you want. So if it's a blue car, you want blue lights, make it blue. If they want the color to scroll, absolutely, it'll scroll through all the colors for you. But if there's other lights in the vehicle, you can connect to the 4-pin round connector here in the bottom and control that with any RGB connector that you choose to use. We would like for you to use ours, but it will work with anyone who uses that standard 4-pin round plug. So to me, and the feedback that I've gotten from dealers with this, you get this going in a lot of younger people's vehicles. They like the lights, they like the cool stuff. This allows you to take what is probably considered an entry-level base package, install that with the lights. It doesn't require the installer any extra time, any extra work. There's no extra parts to buy. You can put the lights in the car and have it be a little bit of a cooler look than what we've offered in the past. This is going to continue just like the 212 pack. So the single 12 with a retail of $299 is the same price we had on the previous SRX base package. But this one, more power with the amp built in, better subwoofer, better port, plus the addition of the RGBs, 3 to 6 dB louder. Nobody's mad about that. So moving into our new line output converters, we're going to start first with the LL2L. So this is going to be the 2-channel version. Couple things to kind of point out with these. They are going to have locking but detachable plugs for your power and ground inputs, as well as your speaker outputs. Panel mounted RCA jacks, which you can see featured right here. Switch back over and show this is highlighting with the speaker plugs. We do have the gain adjustment on the end with the clip light. So for the installer, if you're getting this set up, get everything dialed in, you can, before you even get to the amplifier, you can make sure that the converter you're using is not having any clipping issues. It's going to cause you more problems down the line with sub and amp failures. Also built into here, we do have the selectable switching, which will allow you to pick as far as what's going to turn this piece on, as well as turn on your amplifiers. So you can go DC offset, audio detection, or you can go old school and just plug the remote wire into it. On the front, these do have OEM load sensing, so you can turn the load sensing on and off just by moving the switch on the front of the unit. And this is going to be a retail price of $49.95. That's not a dealer price. That is the full retail price of this piece at $50. The second piece in the line output converter line is going to be the LL6BXL. So this is our new 6-channel. If you've used the previous ones, they worked fine. They did the job, but with new technology, changing in vehicles, it was really time for us to upgrade this piece and kind of get with the times. So this piece being 6 channels is really going to have everything you need already built in. So 6 channels of input, up to 40 volts of power handling, 6 channels of output. You can see right here next to the RCAs, it has the level for all your channels. front, rear, and 5 and 6, which are going to be dedicated for subwoofer. This does have the same bass enhancement, bass restoration that we used in some of our previous pieces. So it allows you to really correct for any kind of roll off, any frequency loss, really get the sound dialed in to make it sound the way it's supposed to for the customer. Channel summing, super simple, just nice switches. You put them in the position for which channels you want to sum together, as well as your load selection. So you can actually select here from your 20, 40, or 60 ohm for your loads. Down on the bottom is your switch for how you're going to turn everything on or off. If you're going to go remote, DC, or audio sensing, right on the top, right on the front, easy for the installer to get to, as well as ground isolation switches. In the rare case where you're going to have any kind of noise, pops, any kind of weird thing going on, you can use that ground isolation to help you fix those problems before you do any further troubleshooting to see if there might be an issue with the ground loop or any of the other crazy problems that pop up in these new vehicles. And at the bottom down here, you will see this does come with our RG9 bass remote included. So typical gain, power indicator light, but the thing that we added to this to make it a little bit different is subsonic. We do realize there's some people that are competing. They might want to use their system in a different way, whether they're competing versus day-to-day use. So they have the option to really dial in that subsonic and protect the system in the best way possible for them, right from up front in the dash. This piece does feature 11.2 volts max output. So this thing's going to be hot going into the amplifiers. I might have forgot to mention on the previous slide, the 2-channel is 11 volts, which is also very hot for the size of the package. But this 11.2, that's really the maximum output we can squeeze out of this thing. So this is going to be a great piece, great improvement over the previous 6-channel line output converter in the line. Next on the list, probably one of the things that we're most excited about is the change and improvements on the PRX subwoofers. PRX has always been the bread and butter of the Memphis line, whether we're talking about coax, subwoofers, amplifiers. This is what everyone selling Memphis is really selling, and we do have some big improvements this year. So for the new models, we do have 8, 10, and 12-inch available with this. The biggest improvement, I think, in our line, which is something that's very small, you're probably all familiar with the Flex technology, which has allowed us to be selectable impedance. In the past, you could select 1 or 2 ohm, 2 or 4. There was a series of jumpers that were required. The new, updated, improved version of the patented Flex technology is the jumper system. So if you notice here on this subwoofer, this is the 8-inch, so it's selectable between 2 or 4 ohm. Labeled on the subwoofer, it says 2 ohm or 4 ohm. You simply unplug the jumper from the first slot and move it to the second slot, and you've changed the ohm load. There's no additional work, no additional jumpers. Very straightforward. On the 10 and 12-inch sub, we improved power handling as well as using the new Flex technology. So the PR subs now are 400 watts RMS, 800 watts peak. The PR amp line matches up perfectly. So we have 1-channel PR amplifier starting at 400 watts all the way up to 1500. When you look at the 10 and 12, you'll notice that there are 3 jumper positions. So the new PRX 10 and 12-inch subs can be 1, 2, or 4 ohm. So there's really no need to have to worry about which subwoofer to order. If you want a PR10, you order these PR10s, it's the one you're going to want it to be. If you're running on a mono amp, you can have a 1 ohm setting. If you're running a pair of these subs on a 1 ohm stable amp, put both subs at 2 ohm. Now you have the 1 ohm load at the amplifier. Or even if you're running this sub on the back half of a PR4 channel, move the jumper to the 4 ohm position. Now you've got a solid 4 ohm load to run safely on the back half of a 4-channel amplifier. This simplifies everything from our ordering to Davis ordering to you guys ordering, even for the consumer. If they come in, they're buying 1 sub, they come back, they want to make a change, they want more bass, need to add a second sub. This gives the option of them not having to buy 2 subwoofers. Now they can just buy the 1 subwoofer, you can move the jumper, add a second sub to it. They're good to go back on the road. There's probably only one thing that could make these subwoofers better than the improvement with the power handling, the adding of the new Flex technology with the jumper. The only thing that could make these subwoofers better would be the addition of LEDs. Naturally, we had to do that. We want to make this one of the best, most popular subs out there. As you can see, obviously, Ric Flair's very enthused about the way this looks. So the new PRX subs are going to be RGB compatible. They'll have the same round 4-pin plug that we showed in the earlier image. Another thing to maybe point out a little bit with this sub is, besides the hashtag science that makes it 3 to 6 dB louder with the RGBs, when we put that RGB ring in there, it actually made the cone slightly larger, the surround slightly smaller. So this sub is actually a touch louder than just the standard sub without the RGB ring. If you've seen these in person at one of the shows, you know how great they look. This image doesn't really do it justice. The color really pops and shines on these subs. The other real, to me, on the consumer side, benefit with this when you go to start selling to customers is the price point. So these subs at retail are only $20 more than the standard PRX sub. I know me, when I was in my 20s, if there was an option for 20 bucks, I could add my sub light up versus not light up, I would have been all over that. And that seems to kind of be the feedback that we've gotten so far. It's a nice clean look. You can obviously select single color if you want. You can hook the RGB controller up to it to get it in sync with the rest of the vehicle. Lots of options, lots of excitement on these new PRX 10 and 12-inch subs. That is not all. This is the part where we have the cool music playing. We're set for you guys to all hear the audio. So we have some really exciting new special edition, limited edition product for this year. We're doing that in the MOJO Pro line because it's super hot for us right now. Everyone's buying that product. So here we are with the newest offerings for Memphis, the 60th anniversary limited edition product. Obviously, lots of gold, lots of bling. We'll get a little bit more into the specifics of that. So we do have 2 amplifier offerings. The first is going to be the MJP 800.4. That's a true 200 watt by 4 in the 60th anniversary limited edition amp. You may notice from the finish, it is 24 karat MOJO real fake gold. It even blings in the PowerPoint. It's so shiny. The badges on the bottom is going to show our 60 years with the 65 to 25. And if you'll notice right here in the center, the Memphis logo is made from imitation blood diamonds. Obviously, we couldn't support the use of real blood diamonds, or we would have 100% included that. But everything from the control knobs to the RCAs, all the speaker inputs, power inputs, everything's gold, got the bling, got the Memphis logos on top. Solid looking amplifier. This is going to retail at $449. It's a touch higher than the standard price amplifier, but I think for the look and feel, whether that's for you and your shop want to show off something cool in a demo vehicle, or for the consumer, it's a great product with just the little bit of price increase on there. The second product in this line is going to be the MOJO Pro 1500. We realize that a customer buying one of these amplifiers, odds are they're going to be doing 2. If you're running an 800 watt 4-channel, you're probably also running a sub amp. If you're running a 1500 watt sub amp, you're probably also buying a big 4-channel amp. But we want to be able to offer the matching pair. This amplifier is going to be $549. All the same features as the previous amp, all the gold trim, diamond badging, 60 years logo. So we're really excited about these. They've made a splash anywhere people be able to see those in person. And we couldn't do it with just the amplifier, so we had to add the subwoofers as well. So these are only available in 12-inch. So the MOJO Pro 1222s or 1244s. We talked about before, it's a 750 watt RMS sub. You can see this image here is the gold and diamond badge we put on the basket. We also did those same logos on the cone. So nice gold, nice diamond M on the cone there to really bling the vehicle up. And those are going to be at a retail of $299.95. So if you have a customer that likes the MOJO Pro line, they want to really step it up, get flashy, add a little zing to it, 100% move them into the 60th anniversary product, and I don't think they'll be disappointed. And the last piece of 60th anniversary product we have is the M-Flow speaker. I know a lot of you guys have bought those in the past. We offer those in black and blue. This new feature kind of shows off the Memphis tricolor with the blue, orange, and yellow. We do have the Memphis 60 years on the end. And these are going to be at a retail price of $119.95. Same features as all the other M-Flows. You can pair 2 together. They do have all the RGB lights built in, dual passive radiators on the end. So nice full sound out of a small package. So new products, you can see here we have already gotten some of these new products in stock. The PRX 10 and 12 with the Tri-Flex 1, 2, and 4 selectable are already in stock. We got a few pieces in February. The bulk of these new products will be coming into stock in March. So we're already in March. So I would say start looking for those things to show up somewhere around the next week and then just kind of spread out through the rest of the month. So we're not showing you products that we're going to have in September or October. We're actually showing you new products that are going to be in stock towards the end of quarter 1, worst case scenario, beginning of quarter 2. So lots of cool new stuff on the way very shortly. We do have a couple of more exciting things to show you guys here before we get wrapped up. The next one we're going to get into. This is an item that's been a long time in the making. If you've been a Memphis dealer for any period of time, you're definitely familiar with this. We've been kind of known for this product, since the late 90s. It's time that we brought it back to its full glory, and that's going to be with the launch of the new MOJO subwoofer for this year. As you can see here from the picture, we made lots of big changes. We listened to feedback from consumers, from dealers, from everyone that the last MOJO sub, while it was great, sounded good, it was loud, it was a little too pretty. We need to make this a tough subwoofer like it was in the past. We went back to the old school kind of orange basket. You'll notice here, giant triple stack magnet, super high-end look with the carbon fiber cone. The picture really doesn't do the cone any justice. I mean, seeing it in person, it's one of the best carbon fibers that I've seen. We did do the MOJO logo on the cone in aluminum. This is screw down spider, and this is a very conservatively rated 1500 watt RMS subwoofer. So we're excited about a lot of things in the lines, lots of cool new products. SRX base packages are going to be great for your everyday customer. The PRX subs with the lights and the flex are going to be great for you in store for the everyday customer. This subwoofer, for the guys who are really looking to step the game up, this might be the best looking Memphis sub that I can remember in person. So we're excited about this. These are on the way. This is the one product that's a little bit farther out from the others, so we saved it for the end. But we will have these in here in just a few months and be ready to rock. So this is going to be a $699 retail for the 1500 watt sub. So as soon as we get these in, we'll make sure to get these out to the guys at Davis. Make sure you guys have them available to you as soon as we have them. So that is the end of the new product as well as the refresher part of this. Let me get back out of the screen share. All right. Anyone have any questions, comments? I don't know, Nick, do you have anything to add in the follow-up to this?
Well, I think you did a great job in letting everyone know about all the new stuff, but I think ending on that MOJO, unfortunately, not a lot of people got to see it in this call, but anyone that saw it in person at Knowledge Fest definitely concurred with your statement. That's one of the best looking subwoofers that Memphis ever made, and quite honestly, might be a little bit biased, but that I've ever seen. I think you and I had the same reaction when we unboxed it for the first time, that holy crap, this is an amazing looking subwoofer. So I think that's I'm 42 years old, and I think it kind of sums up car audio all in one with an awesome looking sub that is going to perform, because Ellis is right. It's got a 4-inch voice coil. It's a conservative 1500 watts, and it's going to bang. So very excited about that subwoofer. So I'm glad we ended on that, and that subwoofer will be at the Davis show for you to see in person in just not that long from now, April 15th, right?
Yep, 15th.
So definitely come to the Davis show and see all this new product if you don't already have it in stock. But the MOJO woofers, like I said, is a little bit further behind, but definitely come to the show just to see that. It's worth coming to the show just to see that woofer.
And if you guys have any follow-up questions after this or tomorrow, if you don't have my information, all the guys at Davis definitely do reach out to your rep or anyone there in the office, and they can get you in touch with us. Make sure we get you all the info you need. All right. There's no other questions. I guess that's it for us. Thanks again for taking the time out of your day at the end of the day to give us an hour to talk about some of the new Memphis products. So yeah, if there are no other questions.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you
That's
guys
awesome.
for coming on. Thank you, Ellis and Nick,
Yeah,
for
Mojo, baby.
making this available for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Davis. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.